I would like you to fasten your seatbelts because we are about to take off.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board. It's K Global, everything aviation.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, once again, I'm K Global, and here we talk about everything aviation. Before I continue, please I urge you to click the like button below, hit the subscribe button, and turn on your notifications to get more future videos from us. In this episode, we are going to continue on the category of aircrew. Last week we talked about pilots. This week we are going to be talking about cabin crew. Professionally, they're actually called cabin crew in Nigeria and flight attendants outside Nigeria. But I know randomly we call them the air host or air hostesses. I personally called them that in previous videos, but professionally or according to the Civil Aviation Regulation of Nigeria, they are called cabin crew. What does it even mean? It means the crew in the cabin. So the aircraft are in different sections. The cockpit, where the flight crew stays, while you have the cabin where the cabin crew stays. Okay, so the cabin is where you sit, where the passengers sit and stuff. So that is why they are called the cabin crew, because they are the one in charge of the cabin. They are the crew in charge of the cabin. So what do they do? Okay, the cabin crew actually are primarily for safety. Then comfort. They are primarily for safety, then comfort. Why I took time to establish why they are called cabin crew is to take out the notion of air host or air hostesses, where you see a host, in quote, you see a host like a waiter or a waitress, but they are not waiters or waitress in an aircraft. They are actually a crew doing a professional service, and this professional service is safety. So they provide safety for the aircraft, they are in charge of safety for the passengers, and they are in charge of safety for smooth operation while on transit or while on flight. The comfort side comes in, yes, when you are using, let me use this illustration. When you are traveling from point 1 to point 2 on your road transport, you would want to, in quotes, buy sausage rolls and soda. So also, since the aircraft can't stop on air to get sausage rolls and soda, then nobody's hawking through the windows in the cloud, then obviously need for water, organizing passengers going through the lavatory service, the use for lavatories, and attending to them for their basic needs, giving out snacks and stuff is where the comfort duty comes in. But basically, cabin crews or flight attendants basically are for your safety. Their primary role in an aircraft is for your safety, for the aircraft's safety, and for smooth operation. Smooth operation in the sense that since they are a cabin crew, the pilots can't see what is happening in the cabin. They are locked out in the cockpit. So the cabin crews are the ears and eyes of the captain, because the captain is the pilot in command of the aircraft. The minimum age in Nigeria to becoming a cabin crew is 18 plus, while globally is 21 plus. For you to be a cabin crew, yes, basically, and I would say you need an O-level or SSC to become a cabin crew. But in all honesty, based on the context of Nigeria and in reality, most airlines would want to take a degree holder. That means you are a graduate from a university or a HND holder from a polytechnic before you even become a cabin crew. So they'll rather have, it's not a requirement professionally, but for communication skills and attention to details and comprehension, airlines would rather take a person who is a graduate. So becoming a cabin crew, we need minimum of an SSC, like I just said, why you need a degree, and you have to enroll into an aviation school. Remember in the last video I talked about ATOs. In aviation, you only go to ATOs, as approved training organizations. That is where the authority, those are schools that the authority, which is the Civil Aviation Authority, has endorsed and approved for training. So the cabin crew is a licensed career. Therefore, you need to go to an approved training organization. In list of organizations I can remember now, it's the Nigerian College of Aviation Technologies area, which takes about 10 weeks, while in Lagos you would get the Aero Consult, the Universal School of Aviation. I think those are the two I can lay my hands on now, and they are about 1 month. So the Zaria training school is more intensive, but they have, for a cabin crew in reality in Nigeria, there are advantages of doing it in a private school in Lagos, a private ATO in Lagos, or going to Zaria. The advantages of going to Zaria is you would meet and have a network of colleagues across the industry. That means you would be, while you are a student, you mix up with student pilots, you mix up with student engineers, you mix up with student air traffic controllers, you mix up with student flight dispatchers. So you get to understand the cross connection of different professionals in the industry and what they do. So when you even peradventure start working, you tend to meet and have more relationships. But in Lagos, the advantage is that Lagos is the hub of aviation in Nigeria. So it's more like you are already in the active system when you train in Lagos. So the advantage Lagos also has is, when you train in Lagos, you can easily meet an employer. You're already doing, maybe you're easily visible to your employer compared to when you are in Zaria. But so whichever option, both training schools are different. There is the private training schools in Lagos, and Nigerian College of Aviation Technology in Zaria are all awesome. So you can choose whichever works for you. It's fine, but you have to the most important thing is to go to an approved training organization. I mentioned earlier employability, and you would need a degree. It makes employing easier. So talking about, if you had watched the last episode on pilots, the reality also stands for cabin crew when I was talking about type rating. In aviation, type rating is very important. And yes, it is not compulsory for a cabin crew to, actually, just to correct that, your basic ab initio training as a cabin crew comes with a type rating, which is either a Boeing 737 in Nigeria or an ATR. So another school that I can remember now is the Landover Aviation School in Lagos. So if you go to the Landover Aviation School, you would come out with an ATR. It's also another type of aircraft. While if you go to the Aero Consult, the Universal School of Aviation, or the Nigerian College of Aviation Technology, you would have, on your ab initio training, you will have the Boeing 737. So these are type ratings already endorsed on your ab initio training. But for keeping you on the edge of employability, you can as well on your own get a type rating of an aircraft that is probably most marketable. Maybe it's available in so many airlines to just give you an edge. But when employed, the companies themselves would train you for type rating. I think a type rating should not be more than a week or thereabout. So that is it about employability. The rankings and career growth as a cabin crew is actually you start from, after your training, you start as a basic crew. Then from there you grow into a lead crew, or you call them, some companies call them senior crew. Then from there you grow into a purser, and then from a purser you will grow into a crew service manager. Okay, but the truth is, it's not like there's a promotion per se. It is just at the jurisdiction of your employer, your company, and your years of experience. That is the most important, your years of experience. So a cabin crew is a cabin crew, but over your years of experience gives you roles to or ranks, while your company or the position you apply for, if you are deemed fit, you get that role. A cabin crew is paid, has a basic salary, then which this basic salary differs from companies to companies. So there's no fixed amount, but I'll give a range from as low as 200,000 to about 400,000 monthly. That is the basic salary. Now they also have what we call allowances per hour, which also differs from companies to companies. Some companies pay about 3,000 naira per hour, some pays about 5,000 naira per hour. So you multiply that by the number of hours you fly per day, then it is paid also in addition at the end of the month. And also when you are in a commercial, if you remember when we talked about commercial in previous episode, commercial and private airlines. So if you are flying with a commercial scheduled airline, you would also have benefits of night stops. Night stop is when your aircraft stops over till the next morning outside your base. So there's a night stop allowance, which also differ from companies to companies, some 10,000, 15,000. Then also, if you go for regional flights, let's say out of the country, I think basically it is $100 per day. So by the time you add your basic salary, your per hour flight, which would not be more than, no, by law cannot be more than 100 hours a month, then your allowance per hour, your basic salary, and your if you go for night stops or regional flights or whatsoever, all together forms your total income at the end of the month. So that is how cabin crews are paid. But for a cabin crew who works maybe for international airliners like maybe the Qatar Airways, the Emirates, this is also a range. I think they are paid from about $2,000 to $4,000 per month with those other benefits. So it's a good career actually. Then also there are opportunities for a cabin crew can work with a commercial scheduled airline, and a cabin crew can work for a charter airline. So that's working with the private jets and the rest. The pay is pretty about the same thing, but the difference is you can also be open to tips actually, especially in the private side. I've seen friends of mine who have been tipped just in a day $1 million naira and even more, so, or in dollars. So that's the good side about cabin crew. So basically from what I've said, a cabin crew is a professional who is first for your safety as the passenger, for the safety of the aircraft, and for the smooth operation of activities during flights. Then comfort is a secondary assignment. So your cabin crew is like your first medical. They'll be the first to give you medical attention, be the first to they give you instructions on board the aircraft and safety instructions on board the aircraft and so on. So this is a good career to also work on. Okay, thank you for listening in today's episode. I hope you've learned a lot from how to become a cabin crew and what it entails about cabin crew in Nigeria. Also, if you have questions or you need clarifications, you can also drop your questions and clarification under the comment section. Please do not forget to click the like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. So in the next episode, we'll be going into the next category, which is the maintenance and planning. Under these categories, I will be talking about aircraft maintenance engineers. See you next time. God bless.
K Global, everything aviation.